Hi, I'm Doug.
And I'm Cathy.
And this is Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. Today we're standing on the banks of the Red River. Where we're standing, we're in Fargo, North Dakota. But just on the other side of the banks there, you would be in Moorhead, Minnesota. So come along, we're going to explore this one big town that happens to go by two different names in two different states, but it's all kind of connected as one area.
It definitely is.
So we're going to show you a little bit of Moorhead first and Fargo next. So come along.
Thanks.
And as we said, we start things off in Moorhead, Minnesota, and we are going to be starting at the Hjemkomst Center. This celebrates the Norwegian heritage of the area. And this is a very peculiar looking building, but you'll understand why in a moment. They have a lot of really cool Norwegian items in here. I love that violin.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That was all handmade from someone there in the area. But that's why it has the ceiling, the roof that it has. The Hjemkomst is a Viking ship. This ship was built, taken into the Great Lakes and set sail, went into New York Harbor, and then spent the next, I believe, 33 days going across the Atlantic to Norway. And it was quite a trip from what we understand. It was, it had, part of it was damaged in New York Harbor against a cement piling. And it also had a 17-foot long split in the hull that had to be repaired at sea, and they had to bail from then on until they reached the port. But
that sounds scary to me.
I know, it does. But also at that site, you'll see this. And the Homestead is a replica of a stave or church from Homestead, Norway. It has this little area all the way around the outside. We'll tell you a little bit more of what that was used for as we go. But this was all built locally, copied off of the Homestead stave. And the woodworking in this is amazing.
It's breathtaking.
Yeah, that little door is called the leper window. And anybody with leprosy or anything that couldn't be around the other people that were there for worship would stay in that little area around the outside. Next up is the Comstock Historic House. This is in Moorhead. This is one of the oldest, most historic homes in the area. It is available to tour on select times during the week. But we were there, we were able just to go on the grounds while it was closed. And it's a beautiful place, and some of the best smelling lilacs I think I've ever seen.
That's right.
Now, Dairy Queens aren't always known to be historic, but this one has been around. It's one of the oldest Dairy Queens in the United States. And
I think they said it was one of 10 of the originals that are the only originals left standing.
And it's always got a line, it's always packed, but it's home of the world's largest dilly bar. That's it right there. And we and that charming cow were all enjoying. Now we went to Homestead Park, and this is the original homestead of Moorhead.
It's a beautiful property.
It is. It's kept up very nice, and it's quite the little cabin. Now we're going to come back across the river to Fargo. And this is downtown Fargo.
Neat architecture.
Yeah. Very, very pretty town. Lots of history.
This town surprised me.
Yeah, very much. And you can tell all those old storefronts. Now you see this train kind of parked here on a side rail, and that is at the Northern Pacific Depot in Fargo. It sits right there along the rail yard, and those tracks are still active, as you can tell.
Here it comes.
Just imagine being back in the day, walking out and seeing that clock with Fargo written on it. That was totally a different era. Now our next stop is the Northern Plains Botanic Garden. And this is a neat little botanic garden. It is free of charge, and as the seasons are, the summer season is shorter in North Dakota, it was just getting ready to go into full swing.
A lot of the plants were just before they popped. You could see a lot of buds. So there weren't as many flowers as we were hoping to see, but it still was a beautiful, peaceful little walk.
We filmed this just about a week before Memorial Day. So it was still kind of early, but there were some really pretty ones blooming.
They do a lot of stuff with kids.
They sure do. Now this is a little oriental garden that they are currently working on, and they have great plans for new developments to be added to that. This was an alphabet garden, speaking of for kids. Each section had a different letter of the alphabet in it. And there was also a little fairy garden.
That big gate fenced out the bunnies.
Not really. We saw bunnies going through the fence, let alone the gate. But yeah, there were quite a few little bunnies enjoying the garden too.
That's right.
But real nice stroll through the gardens. Now next up was the Fargo Air Museum. We just stopped by this. We didn't actually go to the museum, but it has a missile out in the parking lot that I thought was kind of neat. And across the entire front of the building, it's all glass, so you can see a lot of the planes through the window. We'll show you why in just a moment that we passed on it and went somewhere else. This is Bonanzaville. And Bonanzaville is a recreated historic old town. And not just the town itself, but anything and everything that you might see in a town.
This was really neat, and it took a couple of hours going through, so you want to dedicate more time when you go in this.
Now, like I said, this was just before Memorial Day. This is inside the caboose, by the way. But just before Memorial Day, so there were several groups of second graders there that day.
Oh yeah, that's right, there were children.
So there was a lot of hubbub going on around there. So
they were having a good time.
It took us probably a little bit longer because of that, but it was worth it. They were enjoying. This fascinated me. This is the snow plow that they use to plow the snow off of the train tracks. It's enormous. They have a couple of depots there, this Catherine depot, and it was all set up with model trains inside. And the kids were really enjoying the model trains.
I was too.
I was too. We're all kids.
That's right.
This is Fargo's first house. And you'll see all these little buildings. They give you a great map to tell you what everything is as you go along. But one look inside and you can tell exactly what you've got. This is the inside of the church that's setting there.
There was a building pretty much representing every single thing that you would find in a little town.
This was the bank, and right in the same building was their land office. That was appropriate, all those kids going into the schoolhouse there.
I loved how there were the different sizes of desks.
This was the courthouse, which was really, really cool. Now, the Houston House is also known as the Houston Mansion. This was a mansion of its day, and you can tell by the opulent furnishings, the wallpaper, the woodwork, and especially the rugs.
Oh yeah.
They had a downstairs bearskin rug, and they've also got another one upstairs. Nice sitting area. All of these buildings are open that you can go. There's an inside bathroom. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
And another bearskin rug. But all these buildings are open on all the floors, so you can just go through it like a house.
That's right.
It's not roped off that you can't get into the upper levels like a lot of these older villages are.
Good glimpse into the past.
And this was really the upper end of society, the way they lived.
Now, if you notice that little chair dumped over, I think that there's a little playful something going on in there.
Yeah. That eagle that you just saw was on top of the Case building downtown in Fargo, and perfectly we go right into their building with all of the old farm equipment. And there's old John Deere's, there's different brands of tractors and farm equipment. I never realized that Case used that eagle sitting on top of the world as their logo, but we'll see some Case tractors coming up here in a moment that actually have that logo on the front of them. Like right there.
It's so neat walking through here.
It really is.
And there were so many.
Now, if you've ever heard of Steiger, Steiger was in the area there also. And they have Steiger #1 sitting there in their display. This building is the fire company. And you name it, from fire trucks to horse-drawn fire trucks, even down to the fire pole. And
I was disappointed it was blocked off at the top.
Yeah.
I would have taken the ride.
This is something I never knew where the term hook and ladder came from. The ladders are on the top and the hooks hold the buckets. This one is all carriages. Some of them are sleighs. There's a hearse over there along the wall. But these are all horse-drawn in this building. Now, the Brass Rail Saloon and Hotel is pretty typical of what they were like. This is the saloon downstairs, and upstairs were all the hotel rooms.
And you could get various sizes. Or lengths of stays.
There was the bath. this room right here was the honeymoon suite.
Fancy.
Now the creamery, this was all amazing. That's a pasteurizer right there. And right behind it, that's a mechanized butter churn. Now this building was all aircraft. One reason we didn't stop at the Air Museum, because we'd already seen the aircraft here.
That's right.
That one was a cook car. That's like a food truck of that era.
That's right.
And this is their drugstore. And right beside it is the Telephone Pioneers Museum.
That was really neat.
All different eras of how phone equipment has changed. And for the younger ones watching, this is back when phones were attached to a cord to the wall. This one is all antique automobiles. And they have, you name it, they have such a wide variety of all different kinds, from the very smallest to the very largest. That's a Rolls Royce.
It was beautiful.
Next up, Island Park. And Island Park is known to be a very pretty, photogenic park.
That's right.
Has statues throughout and a beautiful gazebo. Now the Roger Maris Museum, if you're not familiar with Roger Maris, he was a baseball player. He holds the record for the most home runs in a single season. In 1961, he hit 61 home runs. This is actually set up in a shopping mall. He's from Fargo. And while he did play for a few different teams, his world record was while he was with the New York Yankees. That was his uniform. And they have a small area behind the display that you can go in, watch a film on his life, and those seats are out of the New York Yankees Stadium. You can see there the different teams he played for. The Athletics at that time were in Kansas City. But he's definitely a hometown boy, and they're very proud of him. Next up is Lindenwood Park and Campground, and we're bringing you this because we stayed here in this campground. It starts off with the fountain as you enter the park. It has a tribute to Roger Maris, and the main road going through it is Roger Maris Drive. They also have a nice tribute there to the Robalo, the USS Robalo. That was a submarine that was sunk. I believe it was 4 men made it out, were imprisoned in Japan. Then they were put on another ship to be moved somewhere, and that ship sank, and they joined the other 70 odd ones that were lost in the original explosion. Beautiful park, especially in the evenings when it is the little ones' baseball leagues. The park is packed. It's very well used, very well loved. Now this is a Fargo City Park. So all of this, including the campground, is all operated by the city. The grass is manicured. Everything is so well taken care of. Coming up here on the right, once we get past the speed bump, is a playground, and it's an absolutely enormous playground, and it was always busy. And as you come back through the park, This building over on the right-hand side is the campground office and the shower house.
It was nice.
The facilities there were spotless. Now this is the A loop. And all of these sites are water and electric. There are no sewer sites. This is where we were parked. And we'll show you our site. They are a bit narrow, as you can see, but a lot of the traffic there are overnight.
Yeah.
So it empties itself out during the day, and it fills up almost completely full every night. And again, there's your electric and water hookups. We're going to come back out of our site, and that's the whole size of the A loop. The building there in front of you is another bathroom, but no showers. Right where that van stopped is the dump station, which was being used as I filmed it. And it's on a loop, so it's easy to get in and out of. This is the B loop, and the B loop is right on the river. The river is unusually high. There had been lots of rain when we shot this video. So they were actually under a flood stage watch. They were, I think, 3 feet over flood stage. But you can see the river is a long way back from any of the campers. Nobody was in any danger, so everything's on higher ground that way.
And this area was really busy.
It was. Some of these sites are not as big, and we had made this reservation when we were still in the 40-footer, so that's why we were up in the A loop. But in hindsight, the B loop is probably the place to be with these views.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of fishing going on too.
There was. And there were some bigger sites over here, but you have to kind of pick and choose your site. Well, Cathy, what did you think about our time in Moorhead and Fargo?
It's awesome. This is really beautiful up here.
It's really a neat community, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with where we're staying here at Lindenwood Campground.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful spot. Our spot is probably one of 3 that are the closest to the highway, so we get a little bit more traffic noise here. If you can get one of the sites down along the river, those are beautiful sites.
Yes, they are.
And the rains we've had the last several days, the river's actually crested flood stage. And you can see from the video, it's a long way from hitting the campground, even when it's above flood stage. So it's good, solid property you don't have to be afraid of for camping. With that, if you've enjoyed the video today, leave us a thumbs up. We sure appreciate it. And at the end of the video, watch for the button over in this corner. If you tap that button, hit the notification bell, you'll know when every one of our videos come out, so you won't miss a one.
And thank you for following us as we follow the moon.